Hi guys, it's James here from Optics Warehouse and welcome back to our podcast. Today I am here with Jim Wood from Jim Wood Shooting, who you may have seen on YouTube, and we're just going to discuss a few bits and pieces, obviously on how he's got into shooting, how he feels about shooting, the kit he uses, and how he feels about various different bits and pieces currently out there in the shooting community. So, without further ado, I will introduce you. Jim, nice to have you here today. Thank you very much for coming along. Obviously, so you've got us here in the middle of sort of Black Friday, so obviously it's a very busy time indeed at the moment, but it's obviously nice to get away from it a bit and just sort of go through.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I appreciate the invite down, James.
Not a problem at all. Not a problem at all. So, just very quickly, for those of you who don't know, so Jim, you would have seen from YouTube, does a lot of video reviews and whatnot. We sort him out with some kit and bits and pieces, obviously, and we'll go through all those today. But obviously, I'm just going to break it down and just sort of do a few good questions today, and then we can just elaborate and have a bit of a chit chat about various different things.
No problem.
So firstly, talk to me. Obviously, so you do your shooting channel. How did you get into it all? What was sort of shooting? Where did it all come from?
Basically, it all stems from my dad. He took me out on a pheasant shoot when I was about 4 years old, just over 40 years ago.
Yeah.
And then from that progressed, going over to pheasant shoots, going over doing pigeon shooting.
Yeah.
And then basically rabbits, foxes, and he introduced me to all of it. And the older I got, then obviously I got my own guns, and then started going out and about. Then the night vision stuff started coming in, and it's all progressed from that really. So it's been a big eye opener into not just the shooting side of it, but the country side of things as well.
Absolutely. So shooting for the best part of 4 decades, obviously, isn't it? It's nearly double the amount of time that I've been shooting and what. So I imagine you must have seen, not to try and show your age there, but just obviously you must have seen quite a lot change in that period of time, as you say, especially obviously from what it sounded like. Obviously you started off on the shotgun side of things and whatnot, and then obviously moved on to rifles, especially with some of the sort of tech that we're going to go through today. How much that has progressed quite significantly. Yeah,
definitely. I mean, shotgun shooting, mainly it was clays to start off with at an early age, doing competitions, bits and pieces, and then, like I say, going out into the field and then progressing on to like air rifles as well, and then going on to like the rimfire before getting a centerfire. So but what you see now compared to what it was like, say, 30 years ago, especially in the field, when you see the amount of damage that pigeons, crows, rabbits, the damage they do to farmers' crops and everything, and hedgerows and everything is unbelievable.
Yeah, no, I think actually touching on that, I think it's something that a lot of people don't tend to see, especially if they maybe perhaps come from like sort of more of an urban environment. Obviously, not knowing necessarily where their food comes from and all the protection that's required to make sure that food does make it into the chain and all that sort of stuff. And obviously, just to advocate what shooters do actually do out there to make sure we all still live and breathe.
Exactly.
So it's interesting you say that. It's so you've been shooting for the best part of 40 years. You've gone through a few bits and pieces, and obviously you've got some kit that you've used here with you here today. Yeah. I mean, just talk us through what sort of stuff you're using at the moment. Not necessarily the gear on top of the scopes and spotters and whatnot, but talk us through the rifles that you're using at the moment. What you think sort of out there at the moment?
Well, currently at the moment, I've got shotguns which I use for the pigeon and crow shooting. Rifle side of things, I've got this. I'd just like to point out that it is safe. There's no bolt ammunition or anything in it. This is my CZ 457 22LR.
Fantastic.
Yeah, beautiful rifle. Absolutely love it. It's got a 20-inch barrel, Panther Wildcat moderator on it.
Yeah.
The Hit Micro Alpex on top, and the torch is just an optic fire T38.
Yeah.
Now this is my rabbit setup. And it does everything that I want it to. I don't see any point of having a laser on it because the distance that I'm shooting is anywhere between sort of 50 to 80 yards at night. So I don't need a laser on there. So this little optic fire is absolutely spot on for what I need it for.
Just very briefly, just elaborate what you talk about. Obviously, you're talking about a laser there, just to make sure everyone's not thinking about like a little laser point thing. Just elaborate, obviously, what you're talking about.
So a laser torch, instead of like a T. With this one, this is a T38, which is an 850. So you can get an 850 or a 940, but the laser is more direct than just having an ordinary pill inside a torch sort of thing. So, which I do use on my 223 for foxing.
Of course,
I've got an IR light build laser,
Oh,
which
very
I
nice.
use. It's a nice laser. It is a nice laser, but that is more for my fox shooting, going out to sort of 200 yards.
Yeah, no.
So this torch would do it, but the laser is better. It's got more of a reach on it.
No, that's fair. Also, you got your 223 as well, which is a formidable foxing tool. A lot of guys out there using that at the moment.
Yeah,
so you must get on quite well with that one.
Yeah, that's a Howard 1500
Very nice,
223. So it does everything that I need it to do. So
excellent. And you were telling me earlier on you've actually put in for a variation for a 17H Mars.
I have. Yeah. There's a spare space in the cabinet, so it needs filling.
You never buy enough guns, can you?
No, that's it. But hopefully hear back from that soon. So I'll be looking at getting 17H Mar, more for longer range with the rabbits rather than using the 2.2. So, bit of variation adds for another video, doesn't it?
Absolutely, it certainly does. It certainly does. Now, obviously, you use your 2.2 and your 2.23. Am I guessing what you sort of split them quite a lot across your channel, sort of just to show a variety of different things?
Yeah, definitely. I'd say this setup that I brought with me today is the main setup that I use because predominantly I'm after rabbits. There's a lot of rabbits on the grounds that I've got. But the 223 will be coming out a lot more because lambing season's coming up very soon. So that will be my main focus of attention, basically, to help protect the lambs.
No, fair enough. I mean, what do you think on obviously using sort of air rifles? Have you got any air rifles or something like that? Or?
Yeah, I've got a BSA Super 10 Mark II, which is sub 12 foot-pound.
Yeah.
And I've got a Day-State Air Ranger, which is
that's very nice.
Heavy.
Yeah.
It's nice. It's FAC.
Yeah.
Pushing out 30 foot-pounds.
Oh, right.
So I haven't done a lot with it, I must admit. But sort of cater for everything really.
I think an air ranger. I think that's what George actually would have seen. I think that's what he's got on his. That's what he had the Thunder video on the other day. Actually, it's actually stripped all the wood down. It's not like a cup of tea. That kind of
it's a heavy old beast.
Yeah.
It's about 10 pounds in weight.
I can certainly imagine. And as I said, obviously using those bits across your channel, how have you? Talk to me a bit about your channel. Obviously, when you started it, how it's flourished, and why you started in the first place. Really, just
basically, it's to share my experiences out in the field, whether it's around farmyards, whether it's just having a wander around in the field, whether it's setting up a hive with pigeons, and I wanted to show what I get up to because I'm watching YouTube, you see other people doing it and everything. Probably Mark Ripley 260 was my biggest inspiration for doing a YouTube channel.
I completely agree. Yeah.
I mean the videos that he's got and his long range shooting, I love watching that, but not that I'm in that sort of league or anything like that. But it's basically to show what I get up to, try and educate people as well. I mean, at the end of the day, shooting is very much every day's a school day.
Yes.
And I'm always open to opinions when people say, have you tried this, have you tried that?
Yeah.
And some people turn around and say, well, I didn't know that, I'm glad I saw your video. So it's all about helping each other in the community sort of thing in the shooting world. So that's why I've done it.
No, fair enough. I mean, you touched on it there. It's obviously, I think safety is obviously a big key element. Obviously, to show exactly how we sort of go about it and want to make sure we are because at the end of the day, it is a dangerous piece of kit. I mean, if used incorrectly, it can cause some serious harm. So obviously, the safety aspect of it as well, and obviously just to show what is sort of again advocates.
Definitely.
Just to go through all that. Now, obviously, we saw your CZ just a second ago. You've currently got a Hick Micro Alpex on there.
Yeah.
We'll come on to Hick in just a second. But obviously, that's a dedicated night vision scope.
Yeah.
Now, I know you mentioned that you've had a little bit of experience with the Pard MB007 before, and a rear add-on. Obviously, quite a popular piece of kit. Retails at quite a relatively low price. There's options for a 12mm and a 6mm, so depending on what your needs are for air guns, rimfire, centerfire, etc. I mean, as someone that quite clearly obviously does a fair amount of shooting, how would you, I mean, if you were looking for a setup as such, would you think a dedicated is necessarily better than an add-on? Or
Personally for me, yes. I had the Pard 007, MV007, pretty much when they first come out, and it is a great add-on. The only thing I didn't like is because of the length of the actual unit itself and setting the scope up on the rifle to accommodate that, when you take it off, you're leaning a bit further forward on the rifle. I didn't really like it. I had it for a long time and it served its purpose, but to me a dedicated day and night scope is the way to go for myself.
Yeah, that's fair enough. And obviously, again, we'll come on to this a bit more in a second. You've had a bit of experience with thermal weapon scopes as well. What do you think about the whole the whole debate that people say, obviously, they're not necessarily confident on buying a thermal scope because the ID isn't necessarily there. But of course, with a night vision, because you've got the IR torch there that can spook the target, so to speak. It's a really tricky debate to try.
It is, and they've both got their purposes, haven't they? I mean, if you're using thermal binoculars, or even the thermal scope itself, it's completely covert.
Exactly.
Nothing's going to know that you're about. Like you say, with the night vision, you've got the fault that they're going to see the torch. Especially if you miss a shot, you can easily educate a fox by missing it.
That's it.
But with the night vision, the definition is all there. The picture quality, you can completely ID something 100%. With thermal, depending on the range, you might get a little bit sort of confused. What is that out in the field? I know they're bringing out more and more stuff, especially Hick, regarding sub 20 millikelvin everything, and the detection and the ID is a lot better. So they've got their flaws and against, haven't they, really? But they're both ideal out in the field.
It's something I must say, especially when I'm speaking to customers, like the first question I ask is, look, have you used thermal before going to buy a thermal weapon scope? Because admittedly, when I first bought thermal, this must have been 10, 15 years ago. It's like the original, like sort of like the HD 50, the old blocky sort of runs off 4AA pulsar bits of kit. And that there, and every time we see a rabbit, I think, oh, that's a fox. Oh, no, it's not. So it's obviously technology's moved on quite a bit since then. But as you say, being covert with thermal gives you that edge, allows you to, and then the more and more you use it, the more you can become familiar with it and think, actually, no, I know that's not going to be there because actually now I know a bit how a fox moves. Compared to say, like, let's say the last thing you want to do is say shooting the farmer's dog, or let's say even worse, like a badger or something like that, unless you're not allowed to. So it's bits and pieces like that really do. That always, I don't want to say it frightens me because I don't want to try and lose a sale as such, but I just want to say to them, look, have you used this stuff before, just so you know you're confident with it. So it's interesting to hear obviously what other people say on it and various bits and pieces. So it's speaking of thermal. Obviously, I've spoken that we do sort you out with a bit of kit, and obviously Hick themselves do sort you out with a bit of kit. We're going to come on to Hick themselves. I know you like their gear.
I do.
We've got a few bits. I don't know if you can quite see them in front of the table in front of us, but we've got a few bits here in front of us, some new bits that are coming out, and obviously some upgrades on existing bits as well. Just talk to me on like really how have you found not only necessarily just using the Hick kit in terms of the quality build and all sort of stuff, but also like the backup service and how you felt dealing with them as a company as such.
Dealing with the products themselves, I find very, very good. Yes, they do have their issues, but what product doesn't?
Well, please go on. What sort of issues do you mean? Give me examples. I don't know. You've used the Alpex.
Yeah, the Alpex for a start. This was one of the main issues that I found with it. The objective focus ring was very, very stiff. So I had to put a fishing coaster on there, literally just so I could turn it round. The buttons on the top were too flush. Sometimes I went hit record and hit the standby button. The picture-in-picture mode, the crosshair wasn't quite in line. So little bits and pieces. But
exactly.
It's not enough for me to say, well, I'm going to sell that because it's no good. You sort of get round things, don't you? But relaying back information back to Hick themselves, what I've found, they take it on board, and then you hope that they put it into future products or whatever. And so they're, like I say, it's not just with Hick, it's all products. You know, there are good points and bad points with them. So, but this is where I think doing review videos on their products, whether it's Hick or anybody else, people get to see what it's like and any issues that I find. Other people may not worry about it.
No.
But it's also the customer feedback to the company saying, I think you could improve it this way a little bit. Not just myself, but other reviewers as well. They all do the same thing. And that's what's going to lead to bigger and better things in the future, I think.
And I think the fact they're UK based as well. I mean, obviously a lot of people have this idea that it's a Chinese company, if something goes wrong it has to come back to China and whatnot. I think the infrastructure that they have based within the UK, within the UK distributors, and then obviously there being Hick Micro UK offices as well. I think that's a massive point. And because obviously everything that comes from a Hick product is all manufactured themselves, so they don't necessarily buy bits and pieces when you want to find out other brands. So again, inherently, reduces costs.
Yeah.
I mean, and I think it's enlightening for a lot of people when they see your channel. I mean, obviously people watch us. That's not a problem. But they think, of course, at the end of the day, because we buy Hick, we're endorsed by Hick, all that sort of stuff. So they're going to think, oh, it's just like another sort of like a pro staff, all that sort of stuff. They're obviously they're not necessarily paid by the brand to do it. Yeah. But they're there
but that's the thing with me. I'm not paid.
Exactly,
by it.
That's it. Yeah,
I'm completely independent.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like when I came to yourself and Sean for literally sent you an email asking if I could do any product reviews. Yeah. One of the main reasons why I did it, because I thought it helped my channel, and if people were looking at buying products, they could take a look at a review that I've done. But it is also for my own benefit to find out what bit of kit will suit my shooting needs best. And at the moment, I still can't decide, especially when it comes to thermal. The Alpex is brilliant, and I love that. But the thermal side of things, the scopes, the binoculars. It's just which is best for my needs. At the moment, obviously, as you know, I've got the FQ50 from yourselves. I'm doing a review on that. Yeah. This is brilliant. Yeah. It really is a great bit of kit. Yeah. But the other stuff that I've had as well. Yeah.
What other stuff that obviously that you've talked about? Go on, please. Because we always made this
trying to remember everything. In the past, I bought my own thermal stuff as well. The links I've had the 15, I've had the 19. Yeah. They're brilliant. Yeah. But they didn't have the 640 sensor in it like what this has got, which really does have an edge when it comes to trying to ID something. But I've had the pulsar actions as well. Yeah. They're a great little thermal. So it's literally trying to find the right one that suits me. That I don't want to go spend money on something and then think, well, it's not really the right bit of kit for me. No. So which is great where I get to try products from yourselves. So at the moment, I still don't know.
But it's interesting as well, as you can say, I don't want to make this so Hick oriented. I know you're a fan of it as I am as well, but obviously see on your channel you did a review on the Thermion Duo, didn't you?
I did.
Yeah, so for example admittedly I've not had a huge amount of experience with the Duo. I've had a look through it. Obviously, it's a fantastic idea. I think the whole switching with the thermal and the optical channel. Yeah. I mean, what did you think of it from using it in the field? What did you?
From using it in the field, like you say, you can switch it from have it on day mode. The little camera that they've got on the top is insane for daytime quality. Yeah. The image quality is amazing. Yeah. And then you could have the picture-in-picture as thermal, or during the day you could switch it around to thermal during the day, and the daytime as the picture-in-picture. It was incredible. It is a really good product. Yeah. It's an expensive product. Yeah. Very expensive. But I was impressed with it. The thing with Pulsar, battery lives aren't that good on them. But I think the thermal side of it, for the price that you're paying for it, I think the thermal side of it could be a bit better, could be a bit sharper. Okay. That's my own opinion.
That's fair enough. I mean, from memory, it's a sub 40 millikelvin, so I don't quite real that could be sub 25. Just say, remember it's a sub 40 millikelvin. As I say, I've not had too much experience with the Duo, so obviously that could maybe potentially, which obviously I think is why NetD is obviously you would have seen for the past year and a half. That's been the battle of the NetD. That seems to be sub 20. Obviously, you get sub 18 with the Telos that's come out and all that sort of stuff. So it's bits and pieces like that. We will just venture back onto Hick. I can't quite see on the table. So we've got the new Thunder Zoom, which is Hick's first iteration of sort of like the dual field of view thermal weapon scope. Looking to get that one out very soon. Very, very interested to see how that one goes on. Yeah. Of course, if we just stretch across there, we've got the Panther 2. Again, similar chassis to that of the original Panther, but of course they've just introduced the ballistic calculator. So again, ballistic calculators. How important do you think that is? I mean, you look at say like the PARD DS35 when it was out with the MD008 as well. Ballistic calculators, I think they are certainly become more and more important when it comes to a purchase. Yeah,
definitely. And I think it's going to help with the aid of actually connecting with your target as well. Yeah. Because it's going to take the guesswork out. Because when you've got a sight, I don't know, say like with the Alpex or whatever, or even the Stella, the SQ50, you sight it in for 100 yards and you've got something that's out at say 170, 180, it's like, it's not worth the shot.
No.
Because you can end up injuring the animal.
Yeah, exactly.
So having all that in there,
if
it's going to adjust everything and it's going to be spot on, then it's just a game changer.
Yeah. Talking of game changers, and I know you're very excited to talk about these bits of kit because you're actually looking at buying one, you're buying a set yourself. It's the Habrox.
Yeah.
I will actually just grab the set here that we have got here. Obviously, you guys would have seen that we have done a couple of videos on these. I mean, initial impressions. We've had a look through this before this podcast. I mean, what do you think? I'll pass them over. See you actually.
These ones I can keep, aren't they? Like I say, we went outside for 5 minutes just having a look through them. But the actual build quality, it's all there, isn't it? Yeah. They're nice and light. They fit really well. I love the raised buttons on there.
Yeah.
That is a really good feature, I think.
Yeah.
The daytime quality was very, very good. And as for the thermal side of it, I'd love to see these out in the field. That's what I want to do. I've seen your video, the mouse at
145 yards.
145 yard mouse. I mean, that's just insane.
It's a fairly crap night as well, to be fair.
But yeah, I mean, these do look a great bit of kit. They really do. And yes, I am going to be looking at purchasing these, but I wasn't though, because I was looking at getting a thermal binocular.
That's what I was going to come on to in a second.
I got invited out on a shoot a little while ago, last couple of weekends ago, and Steve, who I went out with, he actually had a pair of the Pulsar Accolade 2s.
Okay.
Now, I've never used them before, never tried them out or anything like that, but using the FQ50, which is great, and then using those, and then I went back to the FQ50, I realised that I was getting quite a bit of eye strain with it.
Okay.
Now, I've never experienced it before, I've never had thermal binoculars or anything like that before, I've always used the binocular, but it wasn't until chopping and changing between the two, it made me realise that maybe the binos is the way to go for myself. Yeah. Getting old, and all that. But definitely going to be having a look at a pair of these without a shadow of a doubt. But that's not to say not to go and buy a binocular.
No, absolutely.
This is just going to be for my own benefit.
It's interesting, obviously, you say that. I mean, because I think it depends as well as the type of nighttime shooting. So I know you said yourself you do a lot of walking around. Obviously, you've got sticks and bits and pieces. Personally, myself, I like to be in either like a buggy or a truck or something like that. Yeah. I know this isn't going to sound particularly good, but obviously if I'm like just driving down a small country lane where there are no other cars coming down, obviously you've got there and you're just looking straight with one eye, and obviously you've got your spotter there sort of thing. I know it's like crawling along, but obviously trying to do that with a set of binos as well. You might miss opportunities in the field, so to speak. So it's
that's where the binocular comes into its own. But like I say, regarding the binocular, I've always used them ever since I bought my first set, and obviously trying out different ones. But having tried those Pulsar ones, made me realise that I perhaps do need to go that way because of the eye strain that I was getting, and unbeknown to me. So it's probably a good thing that I did check through them, because that's the route I think I'm going to be going down.
Fair enough. And obviously, you say you're a massive fan of your Alpex, obviously, and how it's working so far. What do you think you'll come to buying a thermal weapon scope as well, perhaps, or?
Without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah.
And it probably comes as no surprise, but it'd be Hick. Because, I was very fortunate to have the SQ50, as you know, for longer than what was originally planned. And to be honest, I didn't want to send it back. I think it is by far the best thermal scope I've used. Okay. Admittedly, I've not tried them all. There are some very good scopes out there, but to date, for me, the SQ50 would be the one that I'd go to.
It'd be interesting, obviously. We'll talk about some bits in the future, but obviously it's interesting to see how you think of the dual field of view, perhaps on New Thunder and bits and pieces. I mean, speaking of the LRF on the binos, I was actually just thinking if HIT could potentially introduce something like you get on the Swarovski DSs, where basically you ping the distance with your binos and then it changes it in your scope for you. That'd be the dog's danglies, that wouldn't it? It would be something like that.
I'm sure they do it. I'm sure they do
exactly. And I think they're always, and the price point they're at as well. When you look at compared to competitors, it's just
absolutely, and that's where HIT are at the top of their game. Not just the products, but the pricing of what they sell.
That's it.
Yeah, like myself, there's a lot of people that they can't afford to spend 4 or 5 grand on top range stuff.
No.
But Hick have obviously incorporated the price into the products, and that's why they're such big sellers.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. Well, I mean, I think we've covered quite a bit of a basis there. I'm going to go, obviously spoke about products and obviously your shooting and whatnot, but we're going to obviously, I don't know if you watch a bit of Field Sports Channel, Field Sports Britain, some of that and whatnot. There's a few bits obviously saying about where the future of shooting, shall we say. I mean, it's, I can certainly see here, not necessarily in the near future, but and I've discussed this with a few of my colleagues here actually, I think potentially, like especially like the new enforcement, the new legislation that's coming in Scotland about using thermal weapon scopes at night and all that sort of stuff, that potentially this stuff might be licensed in the next decade, because obviously a lot of people are buying, not necessarily rifles, because a lot of people are buying air rifles and whatnot, and there may be some people aren't necessarily shooting as safe as they should be. Right. I mean, what do you think that the police will crack down a bit more on this sort of stuff than they have done with firearms? Or
I don't know. I actually haven't heard that about Scotland and the thermal side.
Yeah, so just very briefly, obviously it's a big no-no up until sort of September time. Okay. You can't use any digital night vision or thermal to shoot deer. Obviously they're completely overrun with the buggers now. So there's obviously people are buying. So actually more people are buying bits and pieces. I can tell you now we've had quite a few Scottish clientele come to us and say, look, I want to buy that and that because I'm allowed to. So that's just a brief overview. That's come into force recently. That has, yeah.
Oh right, yeah. I don't know. Will they clamp down on thermal?
It's an interesting one, isn't it?
I don't see it.
No.
I'd be surprised if they. Personally, I don't. Yeah, because thermal. I mean, you've even got drones with thermals as well, haven't you?
You do. That's
so
it, yeah.
I mean, because of it's not just for shooting side of things, is it? Yeah. It's wildlife as well.
Exactly.
It's search and rescue. I mean, it accommodates a multitude of environments, doesn't it? I would be surprised if they clamp down on it, but you never know. You just don't know, do you?
No, we don't know at the moment. We don't. But no, I think we've pretty much covered. I mean, unless there's anything else you want us to talk about. I mean, that you want to get out there at all, or?
No, I don't think so.
No, I mean, that's fine. Yeah, that's perfect. That's not a problem. Well, I say, guys, I hope you've enjoyed this podcast. Obviously, massive thanks to Jim for coming in today. It's been an absolute pleasure. Yeah, so obviously, it's great to deal with you. Obviously, it's not just a great shooter, but a great guy as well. So
we're going to get out the door in a minute.
Exactly. Sorry, he paid me to say that. Yeah. So yeah, don't forget to check out his channel. So Jim Wood Shooting. Obviously, how many subscribers you got at the moment?
Just shy of 2,800 now. So
an independent channel.
Like I say, it wasn't to like go on there and like make money. It's just literally to share my own trips out into the field, really. So I'm grateful for the ones that I've got, and I've had some right from day one. Yeah. Then you get invites to go to America and Australia. Oh yeah, if you're in the area, just pop over.
Just pop over, yeah.
I'd love to go meet them all. I'd love to meet them all. But
that's good. But yeah, guys, I hope you've enjoyed it. As always, don't forget to like, subscribe, leave any comments below, or if you want, contact us on our phone lines and emails. I say from Jim and from myself, James. This has been another podcast, and this has been another video from Optics Warehouse.